All right, Sarah Palin, America's hottest politician. Let's talk about this phenomenon. We got our great friend Mark Walsh. He's the founding CEO of Air America, and he's the host of the Sirius radio show Left Jab. We have CNBC contributor and syndicated columnist and radio host Jerry Boyer himself in living color. I mean, look at the stuff here you got going. Mark Walsh, I know you're a skeptic, but over 1,000 speaking invitations. She's going to get 6 figures for a lot of them. 120 speaking invitations for candidates running for office. I mean, she's only been out of the State House a couple of weeks, and she's going to this international conference in Hong Kong where Bill Clinton, Al Gore, and Alan Greenspan spoke. They saw enough of her good qualities to invite her. This is big stuff, Mark. The left cannot ignore the Palin phenomenon.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, watch your clock, because her 15 minutes are about over. But let me tell you, CLSA has had a history of inviting people almost as a goof. They had a fortune teller once to predict the future. They had an anime drawer to plot charts. I think there's a chance this is a bit of a goof. She has no global financial credentials. She quit her job as governor. Her passport was issued for the first time in 2007. She doesn't know anything about finance. I don't get it.
Mark, if I said such a thing, you'd call me snarky. They had Bill Clinton, they had Al Gore, they had Alan Greenspan. You see, Jerry Boyer, it is interesting to me. In some respect, you have this phenomenal grassroots conservative revolt against fiscal profligacy, government takeovers, health care, bailout nation.
Yes.
Does Sarah Palin's message embody the very essence of this conservative revolt?
Oh, yeah. She's brilliant in choosing this one. Just like she won the encounter over death panels and they ended up taking that stuff out of the health care legislation, she's winning this one because she's going after Obama right where he's most vulnerable. In the competitiveness of the United States of America. She's going to sort of where the new economy, where they're turning towards free markets in Asia, and she's going there and going into what I think is a very statesman-like kind of event by doing something international and doing something by something financial. And I think it's also significant that this group is inviting her because, I mean, part of it is because, they expect her to be a good speaker, but part of it is, frankly, is they're trying to kind of get their access to someone who they think has a very powerful political future.
You know, Mark, in seriousness, this gives her a global stage, a global platform she's never had before. And you got to admit, I would think, or let me just ask you, isn't this volume of invitations, over 1,000 invitations in a couple of weeks, and let's not forget that the book is coming out. This woman, whether she is out of the State House, nobody seems to care. She is front page material, Mark Walsh.
Listen, I can't possibly argue with that. You're exactly right. 1,000 invitations is an amazing number. But being popular doesn't mean you're taken seriously. And I would ask both of you guys, do you honestly believe at the CL conference in Hong Kong that after her speech prepared for her is over, that she would take questions and be taken seriously with her views on the global economy? I'm not sure we're there yet. She may be popular, but she's not serious.
In fact, Mark, I think that you guys have spent so much time trashing her that you have so lowered the bar of expectations that if she shows up breathing, she'll beat those expectations. But instead, what she's going to do is she's going to come and deliver a good speech. She will take questions, and you guys will have ended up looking just stupid. I don't mean to be insulting, but by trashing her so much, she's going to end up just completely exceeding those expectations.
Well, Jerry, I know you're not calling me stupid, but I would suggest this.
You're smart.
You're talking about setting the bar so low that almost doing anything is success. When are we going to bring the bar up a little higher for our elected officials, those who stay in office the entire 4 years?
I don't think it's that high right now in the White House, but the point is, I think she's going to clear that bar by a mile.
But here's what I would ask anybody. Watch her resignation speech and just look at that entire speech and then look yourself in the mirror with a straight face and say that she is a serious national candidate.
You know, Mark,
I don't see anybody
you're
can do
have
that.
1,000 speeches later. I mean, the question I have for you and people in your political liberal side is, isn't she capturing this conservative revolt, which we read about on a daily basis, which has given President Obama his worst month in August, which has put, frankly, Nancy Pelosi's polls are way, way down. I think she's in the 20s. Harry Reid, the Democratic leader in the Senate, he's polling, 35, 36% in a Nevada Senate race against a Republican nobody's ever heard of. I mean, in some sense, Palin has become the leader of the conservative revolt, which is scoring so well, Mark. You got to take that seriously, don't you?
Well, I do take it seriously, but I would quarrel with your math a little bit. Sarah Palin is one of the voices for the conservative revolt, as you would phrase it, or others. I would argue that conservative revolt, people at tea bags, the people that yell at the town meetings, that's about 25% of the American electorate. So I don't think that that's a base from which you can build a national profile and a national candidacy that will bring over those disaffected Republicans and those centrist Democrats. Of course we're upset with Harry Reid. Of course people are upset with Barack Obama. Of course they're upset with Nancy Pelosi. No argument there. But I don't think she can step in as a national leader, even after 1,000 speeches, and bring those disaffected centrists over.
Obama built from a smaller left base than that in the beginning.
But, Jerry, the Gallup poll just showed it's a conservative country. That's the Gallup poll.
Yes.
40% conservative, something like 35% moderate, and something like 21 or 22% liberal.
Yes.
So I don't think Mark is exactly right.
No.
And I want to ask you, Palin can ride this tide. I mean, in some sense, conservative leaders, you don't know whether they're leading it or following it, but she's the visible person riding this tide, Jerry. What if you get 40, 50 seats go Republican next year in the midterm elections? Sarah Palin's going to get a lot of credit for that, won't she?
Yeah, you know, Larry, history happens when you have the right movement and the right person who come together at the right moment. And that's what you have in this situation. It happened with the conservative movement and Ronald Reagan. There are a lot of conservative leaders. You got guys like Mike Huckabee and Newt Gingrich who keep trying to jump in the front of this conservative revolt, but the natural leader of this conservative revolt is Sarah Palin. If you actually talk to people at tea parties, I assume Mark doesn't go to them. I go to them. I speak to people, and I speak at some of these events. They love Sarah Palin, and a lot of them are not hard right. A lot of those people are centrist, moderates. I mean, look, I'm in the Mon Valley of Pittsburgh. The church ladies at the fish fry, who are all Democrats, love Sarah Palin. They won't let anyone say anything against Sarah Palin. So if you think this is just a right-wing thing, Mark, you're fooling yourself.
Mark, let me just ask you, how do you perceive her message? Let's do content here. How do you perceive, in brief, we're running out of time, how do you perceive Sarah Palin's message?
Well, this is part of my point. I mean, you guys are comparing her to Reagan and Gingrich and all these former leaders in the Republican Party. I'm not sure she has one yet. I would believe her message is all about that she's upset with what's going on. I have never heard her propose any policy that's substantive in any national or international way. So her message now is unrest, which is fine. To your point, Jerry, unrest can take you a long way. But I believe at some point, and sooner rather than later, she has to be the source of plans, of proposals, of messages, not just things are bad, let's screw them.
Jerry, well, yeah, but how can you complain about her quitting the governor's mansion and also complain about the fact that she wasn't giving major policy speeches? I mean, that's the point of quitting the governor's office, so she can go out and give major policy speeches.
Jerry Boyer, I mean, when I hear her, and that includes the speech, the resignation speech that Mark didn't like, I hear free enterprise, I hear no government bailouts, I hear drill, drill, drill on energy, I hear strong national defense. Those are classic conservative positions. It's Reagan-Thatcher, Jerry Boyer.
It is. She is so like a young Margaret Thatcher. They all talked down to Thatcher the same way. They all said she was a lightweight. Over and over again, they underestimated her until she ended up running the country.
I don't know. Thatcher, Reagan, Mark, you got your work cut out for you just in the last 15 to 18 seconds here.
Hey, Thatcher read newspapers, all right? That's my point with her.
Come on.
No, seriously, she's got to be more deep. I think that's key for her.
You are such a smart guy, you may change your mind. Mark Walsh, Jerry Boyer, thanks, everybody.